Alrighty, so I was supposed to do the review of these game from last night, but I was waiting for that game between RSL versus Leon to eventually start, and it never did. It was postponed to today, so that means once again we're gonna have a very busy night of Leagues Cup action. There's gonna be 7 games, including one. There's gonna be 5 games. It's gonna be happen at the same time, and I have no idea how I'm gonna keep track of all of that at the same time. But that being said, before we get to that, let us actually review some of these games that happened last night. And once again, it was a very good night for MLS team against Liga MX team. It's hard to believe, but Liga MX team against MLS opponent is now 0 for 5 as we get into the first 2 night, and 1 for 6 overall if you counted. The only Liga MX team to move on into the next round is Querétaro, of all team that is. But we start off with the first one, which is New England versus Atlas. Now, as much as I did pick the Revs to move on into the next round, this is definitely not the way I thought that they were going to move on into the next round. And especially, I forgot to factor the fact that the Revs are definitely going for a bit of an adversity. I mean, with the ongoing investigation of Bruce Arena making an inappropriate remark, which to this day we still don't know what exactly that remark is all about, to them losing Carlos Gil in the middle of this game, and also heading into a PK shootout, facing probably the best PK shootout goalkeeper in the Leeds Cup in Camilo Vargas. You didn't think that New England was going to pull this one off. And yet, they somehow did it. And it did not get off to a good start for them because early on, Edwards Jr. did deny Caicedo after a scramble in the box. I thought Earl Edwards Jr. had a really good game in this one. And again, the other thing I didn't even factor is that Petrovic was not available in this game because, he is still kind of on that ongoing saga about him not being happy of not being able to move on to Europe during this summer transfer window. So Earl Edwards Jr. was in place of him in this one. Though Veroni did put it wide from close range, and I thought it was a fast start to this game. I thought both of these teams had some decent opportunity. Though in the 8th minute, Garcia would score for Atlas. He scored for Martinez to make it 1-0 in favor of Atlas, and not long after, Caicedo would make it 2-0 in favor of Atlas, and it was a disastrous start for the New England Revolution. And a lot of that had to do with the transitional play. I mean, they were getting absolutely murdered on the transition with how Atlas was able to go on the break and able to find so much space at will. Edwards Jr. then denied Caicedo as the flag went up for offside, and then on the other end, Vargas did deny Baroni as the flag also went up. So a couple of times where we seen the flag was up because of offside, so those goals wouldn't have counted. But what would be counted is Gustavo Bo scoring in the 31st minute, as he scored here to give life for New England in this one. The lead was cut in half. There was a huge shout for a penalty for the Revs not given, and then Heel would puts it wide on the free kick. And I thought, you kind of started to see that New England was starting to get back into this game. I mean, after just a disastrous first 25 minutes, they were definitely pushing for the equalizer, and they almost got it right on the stroke of halftime when the post denied Brendan by from close range. And despite New England come close to getting the equalizer, we head to halftime with Atlas leading 2-1. Now in the second half, speaking of Brandon By, there was a huge concern here as he had to be subbed off what looked like a serious knee injury, and accused all the people that have said the turf basically damaged the ligament or is bad for knees and cause serious knee injury, because yeah, this was another example of it. And again, I'm not gonna go too much into this discussion because that's we're gonna go into that rabbit hole too deep before we're actually going to be talking about what we're going to talk in this video, which is reviewing these games. But yeah, an ugly moment there. You just hope that Brandon By is okay. I mean, he just came back from an injury not long ago, and now he's going to deal with another serious injury. That's got to be a major setback for that young kid. But in the 50th minute, Vargas did deny Buck from close range. And again, the momentum was once again with New England. They were pressing for the equalizer. Vargas would deny Heel from close range before Edwards Jr. denied Lozano, who was just riding down in pain a minute ago. And that just kind of sums up in terms of what Atlas is going to do and kind of what you expect a Liga MX team is going to do. They're going to practice the dark arts hard, and they're going to try to waste as much time as possible, and even maybe faking injury in terms of trying to get every single second off that clock. Then things gotta get physical because again, you know this is an MLS Liga MX matchup. Things are gonna get physical. There was a lot of yellow card that was handed, some really cynical challenge that was happening by both of these teams. This also was during the point when Carlos Hill had to be subbed off in this one. So again, New England, they're now already down their captain and their playmaker to this team. Garcia then was in on goal there, but he was denied by Edwards Jr. And then Lozano would hit one right to Edwards Jr. Again, Earl Edwards Jr. came up big in this game a couple of times. But I also thought the turnover is killing the refs in this game because both of those chances that was created by Atlas wouldn't have happened if they didn't turn the ball over. So that being said, in the 77th minute, a penalty was given to New England as Santa Maria brought down Moroni in the box. So as much as I talk about how the Revs defense had their struggle in this game, same with Atlas. I mean, Santa Maria, he was pretty shaky throughout this game, and eventually he made a mistake here, bringing down Veroni in the box, and that allowed Gustavo Bo able to slot this one home. Though it was actually Vargas that denied Bo from the spot. They mentioned that he's already saved 11 penalty during his time with Atlas since 2019, and this would be number 12. But unfortunately for him, it goes right back into the path of Bo, and he slots that one home to tie the game up at 2 apiece. And really, as the time winds down, you kind of also feel like the Revs need to win this in regulation because, again, Vargas, he is a penalty kick stopper specialist. So if this goes to a PK shootout, yeah, it's not going to be in favor of the New England Revolution. But in the 87th minute, the post denies Zapata and Atlas the lead back before on the other end, Bolwood hits one onto the roof of the net. This is where we really started to get a Leeds Cup after dark kind of material where both of these teams was chasing for this winner and don't want to go to a PK shootout. Baroni would heads it wide in the first man stoppage time, and again, both of these teams chasing for this game, looking to trying to win it before playing to a PK shootout. There was a shout for a penalty for Atlas that was not given, and apparently that has got a lot of the Atlas player fired up, and even their manager Moreno fires up because Santa Maria, he actually had some choice words with the referee, and the referee was having none of it. He decided to give him a second yellow card for dissent here. The same goes for Moreno, definitely having some choice words with the referee, and the referee said, "Yep, I'm not having it. I'm gonna send you to the stand." So yeah, just a moment of madness that's going on from Atlas. Just again, some Leeds Cup after dark kind of material that we saw in the latter part of this game. But we do go to the PK shootout, and it will go for a while too. I mean, this PK shootout, it feels like both of these team were very clinical in terms of the PK shootout. And again, for what I was worried for New England is the fact that with Camilo Vargas being such a good penalty kick stopper, I would assume that he was actually going to save a couple of those. And he didn't. He didn't even save one penalty in the PK shootout. I think he always tends to go to the left, which again, I get it. I mean, maybe sometimes that's just kind of mind games that he's trying to play on these Revs player, but it just doesn't work whatsoever. As New England was able to convert all their penalty, and that includes Andrew Farrell winning the penalty kick shootout. I mean, it wasn't really a good game for Andrew Farrell, but he definitely made up for it by slotting the winning penalty after Abila missed the only PK in this shootout. In fact, neither goalkeeper had to make a save as Abila actually hit the post on this one, and that Andrew Farrell basically wins the PK shootout in the 8th round. As in the end, New England wins 8-7 in the PK shootout over Atlas, and the shots in this one, 13 shots for the 15 that Atlas had, 8 shots on goal for the 6 that Atlas had, 3 shots off target for the 7 that Atlas had, 6 shots out blocked for the 2 that New England has, and possession-wise, 57% possession compared to 43% possession that New England has in this game. And like I said, against all odds, somehow the Revs are able to move on into the next round, and now their next opponent is against the team that is literally the last team standing in terms of the right side of the bracket, that is Querétaro. I mean, it's hard to believe the fact that all these Liga MX team on the right side of the bracket are pretty much all eliminated. And granted, yes, I know the right side of the bracket are usually more of those mid tiers, kind of lower tier Liga MX team, and on the left side is probably more of the heavy hitters and some of the top tiers Liga MX team. But still, it's hard to believe Querétaro is the last man standing on the right side of the bracket, and Querétaro isn't really considered to be a powerhouse, isn't it? In Liga MX, so there could be a chance that we definitely will have an MLS team making it to the final in that right side of the bracket, unless if Querétaro just go on a crazy Cinderella run that no one saw coming. And we move on into the next one, which is the New York Derby, and this New York Derby kind of got as what I thought it was going to go. I mean, if you thought that this was going to be a game where there's going to be a lot of goals and a lot of action, then you came to the wrong game. Because one of the things I've mentioned about these two New York teams this season and their struggles is goal scoring and also create chances. So it was not a big surprise to see in this game. Neither of these team did very well in terms of going for on the attacking end. And really, I thought that this was the game where, out of all the game that went to a PK shootout, I thought this one was going to be the most likely to happen. And yet, this is the only game that didn't go to a PK shootout. As in the end, the Red Bulls, they won 1-0 against NYCFC. And again, I thought if this game was going to end without going to a PK shootout, it was going to be a 1-0 win by either of these teams. And as I said, the Red Bulls were able to do so. Though, again, for the first 20 minutes, if you missed this New York Derby, you did not miss much because nothing happened in the first 20 minutes. Again, I even wrote, which is not a surprise because this has been the problem for both of these teams. They just cannot do anything going forward on the attack. The build up play could be good at times, but once we get to the final third, that's when both of these teams just have a lot of question mark. The first shot of the game did see Kufe's shot blocked in the 23rd minute. And then in the 28th minute, a penalty was given to NYCFC as Sands brought down Lucanias in the box. In fact, that moment was so significant in this game. I actually accidentally wrote it twice because again, that was really the big moment of this game where the Red Bulls have a chance to get a lead in this one, and that could be enough for them to win this New York Derby. And indeed, it turns out to be, as Omer Fernandez, again, he's just been an absolute killer for NYCFC. And unsurprisingly, he scored here to make it 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. Freeze then denied Harper from close range, and then Lucanias would head one right to Freeze. And the Red Bulls, they were looking for another in this derby. Freeze then denied Venzier as the flag went up, and I thought NYCFC was just scrambling at the back. Like, you can clearly see this is a team that they just cannot deal with the relentless press that the Red Bulls was putting on them and keep turning the ball over in very bad spot. But we do head to halftime with the Red Bulls leading 1-0. Now in the second half, which by the way I didn't put the second half here, but Reyes with heads and wide from the corner. There was a shout for a penalty for the Red Bulls not given. Lucanias then get booked for embellishment there as he was trying to win another penalty for the Red Bulls, but the referee was having none of it. We then had some chippiness, and this happened when right after when Fernandez was having some choice words with Chanot as he subbed off. Yeah, I mean, this is a New York Derby when that, of course, happened, and that there was definitely some feistiness that happened in this game. Amaya then looked to try to finish it for NYC, or not for NYCFC, but for the Red Bulls, but he puts that one high. But in the end, Red Bulls able to hold on to a 1-0 win. And again, NYCFC, they didn't really show much going forward on this game at all. But the shots in this one, 7 shots apiece for both of these teams, 3 shots on goal apiece for both of these teams, 2 shots off target and none that NYCFC had, and 4 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that the Red Bulls had. And possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that the New York Red Bulls has in this game. Again, a very tightly a fair game, a game that really, for me, I know this is going to go down as one of the more boring New York Derby, but that's kind of how it is with this game, and that it kind of play exactly the way I thought it was going to be, and in some way, I think that's exactly what Troy last night was hoping for. They're going to grind out this result. They're going to somehow find a way to score that crucial goal to win the Derby, and they do just that, and now they're moving on into the next round of the Leeds Cup tournament. But moving on, in the next match, we got the Philadelphia Union versus DC United. And this is a game where I'll tell you what, for the Union, they did not play well in this game whatsoever. I mean, I thought they were very poor in this game, though I have to give DC credit. I mean, they were definitely ready in this one. They were definitely not afraid of the Union in this game. But the problem for them in this one, despite I thought they played better, is the finishing. The finishing was just not there in this game for them. But yeah, in the first half, Uru was in on goal there, but he was robbed by Bono on a 1v1 opportunity. Probably the best chance that the Union had all night long. That came in the 4th minute. Blake then denied Hopkins from long range, and then Santos would hit the side netting from close. And again, I thought it was a promising start for DC. Like, they were looking to try to get the opening goal, though Bono did tip Wagner's shot over, as I thought the Union started to control this game. They were having all the possession. Gastag would then miss wide from long range, and then Santos would put it wide from long range before Blake absolutely robbed Benteke on a 1v1 opportunity. Again, these chances that DC has had. It's gonna come back to haunt them that they couldn't finish. But I also thought that all of a sudden DC had the momentum back. They were looking to press for the opening goal, but we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, pretty much not much happened in the second half either, as neither of these teams looked good in the final third. Carranza did put the ball into the back of net, but the problem is the goal was disallowed because he clearly fouled Pines as he was trying to clear the ball off the line. So, Donovan Pines, that I think it was actually first it was Carranza that lifted the ball over the keeper's head, and then Pines was there to try to clear that one away, but you can clearly see Carranza pulling back in. When you do that, yeah, that's obviously going to be a foul. You cannot just kind of pull someone and prevent them to clear the ball away. So yeah, no goal there. We then had some coming together as things started to get physical and tempers started to boil. I mean, that's kind of the case whenever you see a Philadelphia Union game, especially when they're in a knockout stage tournament. Carranza then hits the side netting in the 69th minute before Davis would hits it high from close. Blake then tipped Juan's shot over, and really I feel like it was up for grabs. I mean, as the time winds down, both of these teams was getting chances to get the opening goal. Donovan did have the final opportunity of the game for the Union, and really the final opportunity of this game, but he puts it high from long range. So that means we go to a PK shootout, and in the PK shootout, it's Beisel, the one that gets the winning penalty for the Union, despite the fact that Bono did get a hand to it. I mean, at first look, I thought that one was safe, but Beisel just got enough there, and Bono just very unlucky there to not to get a hand to it, but just not strong enough to parry that one away. As in the end, the Union they survived, despite this was definitely an ugly performance by the Philadelphia Union and by Jim Curtin's standard. They survive and move on into the next round. And the shots in this one, 8 shots for the 10 that DC had. 3 shots on goal for both of these teams, 4 shots off target for both of these teams, 3 shots on blocked for the one that the Union has. And possession-wise, 52% possession compared to 48% possession that DC has in this game. And like I said, despite it was ugly performance by the Philadelphia Union, in a knockout round, it doesn't matter how ugly it is. As long as you survive and move on into the next round, that's what it matters. And yeah, that's exactly what the Union did. But for DC, I mean, they shouldn't feel too ashamed of themselves. I think that they play a really good game and they were going toe to toe against a team that is really tough to beat when they're playing at home. But again, those missed chances is definitely going to come back to haunt them for these next couple of weeks before they restart MLS play. That being said, I am now going to switch boards one more time and look at the last game that finished up in last night's round of 32 action of the Leagues Cup tournament. So moving on into the last game is Charlotte and Cruz Azul, and if there is already a candidate in terms of the most uneventful and the most boring game that happened in the Leagues Cup tournament, you would say this is definitely going to be that. Though I will say that boringness kind of ended when we get to a PK shootout because that's when we see some really wackiness thing happen in the PK shootout. But early on, I want to mention the fact that while Charlotte was designated as the home team, and keep in mind this game was played at Toyota Stadium, the stands were full of Cruz Azul fans. I mean, that was not a big surprise because, I don't think there's going to be any Charlotte fans that is going to travel. I mean, there were maybe a couple, but yeah, they're not going to travel that long of a distance for a midweek game, and especially, Cruz Azul, they do have a lot of fans around the country, especially in the Dallas area. This was basically a home game for Cruz Azul, and that this is where it gets interesting to see whether or not if Charlotte can pull off a victory in hostile environment, even though they're designated as the home team, and this is playing the neutral ground. And early on, they looked at that. They find a success to do so because they had most of the possession early. They were on the front foot. So not much really happened in this game. That would be a theme throughout this game too. The shots were 2-0 for Cruz Azul 15 minutes in. Rotundi did had the third shot for Cruz Azul, but he heads it right to Kalina. That was also the first shot on goal. And then the first shot for Charlotte, C. Westwood had his shot blocked in the 42nd minute, and we'd head to halftime. Unsurprisingly, scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, once again, Charlotte was on the front foot. They were looking for the opener, but again, not much really happened. I mean, the shots were still only 4-1 for Cruz Azul from close range. I mean, yeah, I think for those that watch this game, I definitely want to say my condolence in terms of watching this one. That was yeah, it was tough to watch, and I'm kind of glad that there was also other game that is going on because I wasn't really focusing too much of this game because there was just nothing that happened throughout this one. Though Rotundi did hit one straight to Kalina in the 58th minute. We then had some chirping that is going on between both teams because, again, it's an MLS and Liga MX game. There's going to be some physical play and some chirping between both teams. Cambindo then was in on goal there, but this was just such a crucial tackle and a crucial broken up play by Nathan Burns, because if he didn't get there, Cambino was through on goal. He was 1v1 with Kalina, but Burns does just enough to broke that play up. Gadino then denied Schwadetsky from close range, and then Cambino had a free header there, but he hits it right to Kalina. And then as the time winds down, that name redacted chant unfortunately rained out. So you know what that name redacted chant is, and I think throughout this tournament I mentioned how they have decided to play music over goal kick with every of these MLS versus Liga MX game, and there's a reason why they do that, because they don't want that name redacted chant to ring out. They want to drown out that chant. So it doesn't seem like it's working right now, because as much as they play the music very loud, you can clearly still hear the name redacted chant very loudly. And I'm also kind of surprised they didn't stop the game up to that point, because isn't there supposed to be a protocol where if that chant does ring out, you're gonna stop the game because of this and go to stage one of the protocol? But nevertheless, in the first minute of stoppage time, Castino did puts it wide from close range. So we go to a PK shootout because, again, there was really not much that happened. PK shootout is going to be the one to decide. And, at this point I was hoping, if this is going to be a PK shootout, make it exciting, because really not much that has happened in this one. And keep in mind, this PK shootout happened right after when I just finished watching the PK shootout between the New England Revolution and Atlas. So yeah, well, that PK show was kind of crazy with everyone uh was able to convert. This was the complete opposite. There was 4 penalties that was missed after 4 rounds. There was some really bad penalty that was made in this PK shootout, but ultimately, unsurprisingly, a keeper was able to save a penalty, and a missed penalty was the difference in this one, as Kalina was able to deny Castino in round 6 to win it for Charlotte. And yeah, in the end, Charlotte, they went on to win this one and move on into the next round by winning 4-3 against Cruz Azul. The shots in this one, only 4 shots for Charlotte compared to 11 that Cruz Azul has. 3 shots on goal compared to 1 that Charlotte has. 1 shot off target compared to 5 that Cruz Azul has. 3 shots out of block compared to 2 that Charlotte has. And possession-wise, 52% possession compared to the 48% possession that Charlotte has in this one. And again, I feel like this was kind of one of those games where unfortunately somebody has to win, despite both teams look really bad throughout this one. And in the end, Charlotte just was able to do so. And so far, they definitely have the upper edge in terms of PK shootout, because that's now their second PK shootout that they won. And Christian Kalina has done a really good job in terms of stopping these penalties during the PK shootout too. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at these 4 games that happened yesterday. Tomorrow I will be doing the review of the Mega 7 game review, because the final game of tonight, and hopefully there's no weather delay that's going to happen, although I don't think that's possible, because I think the final game is going to be taking place in Vancouver, and there's no way they're going to have lightning delay in that one, knowing the fact that that game is played under a retractable roof. But yeah, hopefully all the games will be playing on time, though most likely I won't be doing the review until tomorrow, because I have to go to work at 6 in the morning tomorrow, and that by the time the final game is over, it's already going to be close to 9:30 and almost to 10 o'clock. So I'll do the review once again on Saturday. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at these round 32 action. And by the way, tonight actually finish up all the round of 32 matchup, and that we're going to have the round of 16 as soon as Sunday, where it's going to kick off in terms of looking of these round of 16 matchup. And before you know it, we're going to already get to the final of the Leagues Cup tournament. But like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I, of course, will see you guys next time.